right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to all the friends who are watching us on YouTube and Facebook Live right now. Welcome to this event of Lenovo Z2 Plus. What a fantastic time it has been. You know, we just met about 3 days back when we launched the Moto E3 Power. It was just about 3 days back when we shared our strategy, our success story with you, what our vision is and what our direction is. So I'm not going to repeat all that with you here, but I just want to share one piece of good news. Actually, we launched the phone 2 days back. The day one sale on Flipkart for Moto E3 Power crossed 100,000 unit in day one, the launch day. Now, that is actually a completely new benchmark in the industry, either by a platform or by any competition or by any category for that matter. I think we feel very humble when we share this information with you. At the same time, we feel very proud of the way that our consumers are accepting our brand and are making us move in this market. 3 days back, I shared with you about how different is better. That's the DNA of Lenovo, how we believe that you don't need to do incremental stuff on your mobile devices that you launch, but you need to keep innovating your products, and that's where the innovative products come in. How do you really bring the meaningful technology into everything that we do, and how important customers are for us when we not just listen to them, but we try and incorporate their feedback into the products that we launch in the marketplace. So great things, the festival season is on. Actually, I said this to somebody else when we had the K5 Note launch, I think it was about 6 weeks back, that the Diwali for us has actually started then. And since then, we have launched now what? K5 Note, which came in the mainstream price band. Then we launched the Moto G4 Play, which was in the midstream. We also launched some 3 new exciting products for our offline partner, the A6600, the A6600 Plus, and the A77. That is for our offline partner. And 3 days back, we also launched the Moto E3 Power. Now, those were in the mainstream and probably in that $100 to $200 where consumers are looking for a good, honest product in the marketplace. Today, we are going to talk something different. We are going to try and address the needs of consumers who are a little more technology savvy. They are looking for something more differentiated, more innovative, little ahead of the curve. The Z2 Plus is all about that. In fact, in the last 2 weeks, we have been traveling across the country and talking to a lot of young consumers who are technology enthusiasts and sharing this product with them and trying to give their feedback and listen to them what they think about the product. But I'm not going to talk about that, but we met about 300 odd young people in about 7 cities. And we have got some very, very exciting reviews and feedback about the Z2 Plus. So today is about the Lenovo Z2 Plus. This will establish us or take us further into the premium category of the market who are looking for a product that is a little more technologically advanced, a little more first in the marketplace. Anuj will talk more about it. So thank you so much for being here, and let's get the show on the road. Thanks a lot.
What if? 2 words with endless possibilities. Before we make any decision, we normally ask ourselves, what if? What if it doesn't work out? What if something goes wrong? But the optimist would counter that for every what if it doesn't, there is a what if it does. Our adventurous team over at the ZUK Labs normally likes to substitute the what ifs with let's. So let's move towards that which has invariably resulted in brave, progressive decisions.
Get off. All right, is this thing on? थोड़ा ज़्यादा हो गया, right? Actually, this turntable was not really meant for me. We were supposed to get these big movie stars to stand there. But then, if you've got a product that's this good, and you really get a product this good, uh, we thought the product's going to be the main hero here. So we just kind of put all the movie stars ahead. You can see them at our competitors' launches, not at ours. Uh, Now, the Z2 Plus is a pretty interesting device. I guess some of you guys have had a glimpse of this. Uh, this is perhaps uh, our most powerful phone, right? Uh, Sorry, okay. When we were looking at making the Z2 Plus, and we briefly touched upon this, it was made by the ZUK Labs. The whole idea was a lot of let's and what ifs. The basic thought was, let's make a really fast phone. Let's make a flagship phone. But along with that, what if it could be really innovative? What if it could be really balanced? What if it was also a forward-looking device? And with that, let's fast forward. Ladies and gentlemen, the Lenovo Z2 Plus. Let's get started with that one. And, like I said, most right? So when we say fast, we mean really fast. And that all starts with what's at the heart of it. And at the heart of the Z2 Plus is perhaps the most powerful chipset available for smartphones today, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 820. Now, what the 820 actually offers is 4 custom cryo cores. And we'll talk a bit more about this one, but delivering a lot of power. 2 of these cores are running at 2.15 gigahertz. So it's full powered. And 2 of them go into battery efficiency mode, and they run at 1.6 gigahertz. So combined, they form a formidable platform which can pretty much handle everything that you throw at it this year and maybe even next year. So it is kind of future-proof. And not just the power part of it, but it's also got a lot of battery optimizations. The 820 was perhaps the first mobile chipset made on the 14 nanometer FinFET process. What does that mean? If I could just kind of sum it up, you can pack in a lot more transistors in a very small area. It takes less power. If it takes less power, it is basically more battery efficient. You get more battery, you get more power. What else would you want, right? And it's basically billions and billions of transistors. Along with that, because of the small die size and it's taking less power, it's also pretty good at thermal management. So it generates less heat, and that's basically completing the entire balance for that chipset. But before I actually get into this, and instead of me talking about it, what I would like to do is I'd like to call upon somebody from Qualcomm to talk a bit more about, it's their chip after all. So I'd like to call upon Sachin Kalantri on stage. Sachin is the Director of Product Marketing at Qualcomm for a bit more information. Yeah? Sachin.
Thank you, Anuj.
Good to have you here, Sachin.
Am I,
So,
am I on? Yeah.
Yeah. So, Sachin, one question that I've been getting from everyone: what is a custom cryo core?
Yeah, that's a very good question you asked. At the heart of 820 processor, we have CPU architecture, which is based on our cryo.
Okay.
Many times we get this question asked, why we went for the custom design and not the normal CPU, basically. Customization actually allows us to deliver differentiated performances that the users crave for. And when we position Snapdragon at the heart of the devices you love, user experiences are very, very important. especially there is always a trade-off between higher performance and battery saving.
Yeah.
With customization, with custom CPU, we can create a huge balance between both the aspects, basically, so that one doesn't suffer at the cost of the other.
All right. So if I could say, for the power users, you were able to customize the cores so that they get the best of everything.
That is correct.
All right. Another important question that I keep getting from consumers, right? The Snapdragon 820 runs 4 cores. There are 8 cores, even 10 core chipsets
Correct.
available in the market. So how is it that the 820 with 4 cores actually beats all of them in terms of pure performance and speed?
Correct, correct. So many times we just focus on one aspect of the processor, which is a CPU. In reality, there are multiple other processing engines within a processor that collectively provide up or power the performance of the processor. So just scaling the number of CPUs is not going to give you that holistic experience that the consumers crave for. You have to optimize and tune all of those other engines to provide that experience, basically.
Okay. Can you elaborate a bit more on these other engines?
Sure. With Snapdragon 820, just like the Cryo CPUs, we have focused on all the major technology blocks within a processor and optimized them, refined them to provide incremental performance as well as battery saving. I can give you a couple of examples. Adreno 530, which is a GPU which goes on this processor, provides you 40% additional performance while saving 40% power compared to your predecessor. Then it also powers a custom design ISP. It's a dual ISP. We call it as Spectra ISP. This is capable of delivering 4K videos. It is capable of delivering HDR-like DSLR kind of performance with autofocus, fast autofocus actually, reliable and fast autofocus, I should emphasize, along with low light photo and videos. Then there is another piece which we call it as sensor hub. This is a low power island where we can connect number of sensors together. They can be continuously always on without draining the battery life.
Sensor hub. This is, I think, what we call the sensor processing unit, the SPU, internally for the Z2 Plus. So sensor hub or the sensor processing unit could be used for multiple activities, right? Is there something that consumers are coming back and saying that we see a lot more demand for?
Absolutely. So activity tracking is something we have seen through consumer research is very central to every consumer nowadays. They are very fitness conscious and they want to have an accurate measure of tracking whatever they are doing throughout the day. This requires low power sensors to be working throughout the day in an always on mode. Right. You cannot be running these on a CPU because you will be draining the battery. So we have created this Hexagon 680 DSP platform which constitutes the sensor hub, and it can power multiple of those sensors which can stay always on in an ultra low power mode. Right. So that's how you can deliver the performance and the accuracy that a consumer needs on the daily basis.
So provided you have the sensors, that is.
Absolutely. Correct.
Yeah. That's it, Sachin. Thank you so much. If you have more questions, we'll come back to you.
And many congratulations on the launch of this powerful Z2 Plus.
Thank you. All right. So that was interesting, the last part. And I think we just love this part, activity tracking. I think 99% of us make a New Year resolution every year to be fitter that year, run more, walk more, basically just lose some weight. But what's ended up happening is we've started getting a lot more new age excuses, right? So earlier the excuse used to be, I can't get fit because I don't have time, or I can't get fit because the gym is too far. That's changed to, I can't get fit because I can't find my activity tracker. I can't get fit because I've lost the charger to my activity tracker. Just a whole lot of excuses. Frankly, I've got this activity tracker. Ever since that, I've put on 5 kgs. So sometimes works, sometimes doesn't work. Anyways, But what's really important is you cannot improve on something that you cannot measure, and that's where the activity tracker comes in. Uh, and for that, we've actually included something in the Z2 Plus, and what we've included is something called uHealth. And I think this reveal was kept on this side of the stage, so I could get a little more steps on the way here. Uh, Now, uHealth is a very interesting implementation of the sensor hub or the sensor processing unit. What we've done is we've included a couple of dedicated sensors. So the Z2 Plus has a dedicated pedometer. It also has industrial-grade accelerometers and gyroscopes. Basically, these are the three things that drive any activity tracker. Now, you've got that in the phone, and what you can get as a result is a phone that tracks your daily activity. It's fairly accurate, and thanks to the 820's SPU, or the sensor processing unit, you can actually run this 24/7. We've taken this beyond that, and what we can get is we are able to track your steps, your calories, and your active time throughout. So you don't have to go and switch on any new app. You don't have to start a run. It tracks that automatically. It's always on. It's always in the background. And the good part is that unlike a fitness tracker or an activity tracker, you don't have to charge it separately. Right? So you don't have to look for a separate charger. A phone is something that we all carry. It just makes perfect sense to combine these things into a single unit. The uHealth also tracks your trends over the day, over a week, month, and year. So it makes for a perfect activity tracker, a perfect health companion. Can we cue the video? Thank you. So we've seen what the 820 can do. And obviously, apart from that, it's got that new sensor processing unit, and you get this whole activity part. But let me come back to the performance bit. Performance is incomplete without having data to read-write, correct? For that data read-write, you need a really high-speed storage. That's where all the data is written. And you need a high-performance RAM. What we've got here is the DDR4 RAM. What it helps is it's basically the middleman that we don't really see too much. So we'll blame the storage or we'll blame the CPU. But it's actually the RAM that becomes really important. In this case, we've got a DDR4 RAM. It's about 2.61 times faster than DDR3. So versus previous generation, you get a huge bump. This is capable of speeds, read speeds reaching 16 GB per second. So it can handle pretty much anything that you throw at it. Along with this, we've got a pretty interesting component. It's the SanDisk i7232. It's an iNAND architecture. It works on smart SLC algorithm, if I could put it this way. The whole idea is that all storage is limited to a particular performance level. To go past it, everything has a limit, right? So we can only run so much. Like that, the storage can only write up to a particular speed, say probably 100 Mbps or 150 Mbps. What happens if you, at an instant, you've recorded a 10, 15, 20, 30-minute 4K video, and you're writing huge amount of data at a go? Consumers hate to wait. The smart SLC architecture actually detects that and can give you a temporary spike. So it's got a hybrid storage system, and it's got one component which is extremely fast. And that helps you take additional data pack if and when that comes in. Perfect for photography, perfect for moving large amounts of data. If you're copying things from your PC, provided your PC is fast enough to keep up with this, it can handle anything that you throw at it. So that kind of has this entire multitasking plus performance part to it. And with the Z2 Plus, we will have two variants. We are launching today in India. We will have a 3 GB plus 32 for those people who like a really fast phone. Obviously, they get the whole performance of the 820 with it. The second option is for the multitaskers, for the power users, for people who game. That will be the 4 plus 64. Both are DDR4. Both are using the smart SLC architecture from SanDisk. So both are extremely fast. Along with that, you will get the Z2 Plus in two colors, the black and the white. So 4 options in all. Let me come back. So you've got the smart SLC, and I spoke about large amounts of video being written. Let me get to the cameras, right? Our question was, when we were looking at cameras, what if we could make a camera and put that in the Z2 Plus, which is easy to use? You just take it out of your pocket, and it's there for you. You can capture stuff really easily. And we've seen how people use phone cameras, right? So we've studied how professionals use cameras, and frankly, when it comes to a critical task, the professionals use professional cameras. Most consumers want something that's really easy to pick up and fire. And that's why we've kept the UI simple, as well as, instead of going after the megapixel count, we have focused on a large pixel. So the sensor on the Z2 Plus is a 1.34 micron sensor. It's about 20% larger than most of the phones out there, which means it captures 20% more light. You combine that with really fast focus, about 100 millisecond fast focus, and you get some really cool results without really missing that moment. Along with that, you've got an 8 megapixel camera in the front. Now, this one's also a large pixel. So when you're taking selfies, it helps you take in more light. And yes, it does have 4K recording and slow-mo. But the sensor and the large pixel is something that's really interesting. What it helps us do is capture life pretty easily. And you can get results like this, right? Or probably like this, right? So incredible detail, even in harsh lights. What if the lighting conditions aren't really optimum? Right? And what if the guy who's actually taking that photograph is not really a professional? A lot of people are pretty bad at photography, and we just like a point and shoot. And when we say we, right now for this photograph, I'm talking about me. And this is last night at Janpat. We were there looking at stuff that we should not be eating. But this is captured from the Z2 Plus. So you can get an idea. Of course, most of you guys will be better photographers than me, and you can do a lot more with the Z2 Plus. What if there's a little more light, right? And we have to get that color accuracy. This is taken in Calcutta. Obviously, you can see by the iconic cabs. Now, these are not professional photographs. We'd love to have all professional photographs here and say that the camera is the best in the world. These are images taken by amateurs, and the worst of the amateurs, which is me right now, right? So if I can take this, I'm sure a lot of people can do a lot better than this. Along with this, I mentioned that we can take, it can support slow-mo, and it can support time-lapse. So it does about 1080p time-lapse, and it does 120 frames per second slow-mo in HD. I think it's like the CP traffic. It's just going in a loop right now. Now, what you've got is an overall really powerful phone, right? You've got top-of-the-line performance. You've got flagship performance, which means users are going to play a lot more games. They will multitask a lot more. They'll install a lot more apps because you've got a lot of storage there. You'll be watching more videos. You'll be streaming more. That's why we have decided to give the users, for the Z2 Plus, a large 3500 mAh battery. Now, this is a high-density battery, so hence we could still fit it in that frame of the Z2 Plus, but it is something that gives our users a larger, longer battery life, something that should easily last a day. Right? So let's be realistic about it. We do charge our phones at the end of the day. Even if you're a power user, you should be able to get back home with enough juice left in the tank. Right? Another aspect of the battery that is forgotten, apart from the battery life, right? So this is how many hours I have. Another aspect is how many years does the battery last, or the life of the battery. Now, this is something that people don't really take into consideration. However, we've kind of looked at these small details, for instance. The Z2 Plus comes with a ICC, or an intelligent charge cutoff. What this ensures is that your battery never overcharges. So when you get to 100%, it'll never overcharge. However, the battery is also never really strained because of continuous charging and discharging when you leave it for overnight charging. Right? So we all leave our phones for charging for about 6 hours, 8 hours every night. That can actually deteriorate the life of the battery. Right? So you'll start seeing those effects after 12 months. With ICC, what happens is the battery is protected at all times. When the battery is charged fully, the phone actually runs straight on the AC adapter. So you save that battery strain. Hence, even after a year, your battery is as good as new. Why does this kind of make sense? Especially on a product like this? Because it is a flagship product. It has enough performance to go on for years. When we give you that, we give you a battery that will also last years. Moving on, what we've got is all of this power. We've also given you a bigger battery. No, not right now. Okay, it's gone back here. Sorry about that. So what's happened over the last 5 years, and we've all seen this evolution happen. About 5 years ago, when we had a 4.7-inch phone, everyone would turn around and say, this is a large phone, right? I can't fit this in my hand, and how do I use it? From there, we've actually gone from people even launching 6-inch phablets in the market. Unfortunately, our hands have not really kept up. We forgot to kind of get that part in. हाथ भी थोड़े बड़े करने चाहिए थे. So our what if to the ZUK labs was, what if we could have a phone that was as powerful as the Z2 Plus with the large battery that we wanted and still was comfortable to use? So we decided to kind of change a few things and give consumers what they were asking for. And what they were asking for was a very ergonomical design, an ergonomical device that they could hold with one hand. So the Z2 Plus is designed for one-handed usage completely. And because of that, we've included a 5-inch full high-definition screen here. So it's a fairly good screen from a viewing angle perspective. You get about 178-degree viewing angles. It's a 441 ppi, so it's super sharp. And along with that, you get enough viewing area. So it's a large enough device at 5 inches, yet compact enough to use with one hand. And along with this one-handed usage part of it, and when we were looking at the overall device, we were looking at how to kind of make it even more comfortable to kind of hold, use, and how should it feel. So for that, we've chosen a pretty interesting set of materials. Right? So this one, the Z2 Plus, does not come with the regular materials. For one, it comes, or the entire frame that you see around it is made with fiberglass. Why fiberglass? Pretty simple. Fiberglass is lighter yet stronger than metal that's used on our phones. Along with that, it also does not interfere with the antenna performance that normal metal phones have, and it's better for thermal management. So overall, a much better material to use. Along with this, what we've got is a very interesting innovation that we've picked up from the ThinkPad team, which is called the roll cage. Now, the roll cage is a pretty interesting one. Let me go close to the screen for this. What you normally have on a phone is you've got a screen, and after the screen, you have the motherboard. After the motherboard, or on the motherboard, you normally put a battery, and then you slap on a black back cover, and you call it a day. We decided to kind of build this one a lot better. Right? So instead of just doing that, what we've got is a screen. Behind the screen, there's a metal casing again. So there's a metal layer. That sits on the fiberglass frame. Along with that, you've got the main board. The main board is also mounted on metal clamps. And that further sits on the clamps that are closing the entire phone, where the battery rests. And then at the back of it, you've got metal inside, and again, glass on the outside. So this entire inside pack is like a metal box or roll cage. And this is designed like the roll cage that you see on cars, is designed so that it can handle impacts without really breaking anything inside. So you don't lose your data if you drop that. And it's quite interesting. I don't know if you can kind of zoom into this, if it's possible. Can we get something here? And let me know when it's up. Oh, a little more zoom here. Ooh, this is trippy. Yeah. Right here. All right. So what you get is a curved glass back. Inside this glass is metal. Then you've got this entire fiberglass frame. Inside is the roll cage. You've got a curved glass front, and of course, really easy to hold with one hand. Now, if you guys want to see what's inside, we've got a tear down in the demo area. You can see this after this presentation. Believe me, it's really cool to kind of check that out. Okay, let's move back. So when I was talking about fitting in one hand, now this is an interesting one. It just could not be the size. It had to be a little bit more. And for that, what we've done is we've changed a couple of things in the UI itself. Number one we changed was the discomfort that consumers have when they have to access the quick shortcuts on the top in any Android device. So you have to go up there, you have to swipe it down, and that's how you kind of, suppose you're switching on Wi-Fi when you're connecting here, or you're switching off Bluetooth, anything like that, right? So invariably, your device ends up becoming two-handed. Instead of that, what if we could move the UI so that all the quick switch panel could actually be at the bottom, right? So instead of swiping from the top, your hand is already there, your thumb's already there. You don't need to kind of change your grip. And with one hand, you can have complete control. The quick switch panel gives you about 17 shortcuts that you can completely program on your own. So you can customize, you can make this on yours, right? It makes sense because people always hold their phones like this. I don't see anyone holding it like this, so I don't know why the shortcuts are on top. Somebody must be thinking something else. Along with that, another enhancement to the UI is something that is, I think, super innovative, and that's called the U-Touch. So U-Touch 2.0, in a nutshell, is a supercharged fingerprint sensor. All right? And if I could put it in this way, it's not just a single button, but it's got multiple sensors built into that button. One, yes, it is a fingerprint sensor, so you've got about 99.7% accuracy there. And it is a self-learning one. So the more you use this fingerprint sensor, the better it'll get, the more accurate it'll get. And it keeps getting better over time, unlike what normally happens. It even works if your hands are slightly sweaty or wet. So we had to club this with the U-Health, because suppose you've gone for a run, and this phone is there to kind of track that activity, and you're trying to unlock this phone, it should work. So hence, the fingerprint sensor can also take slightly wet conditions, obviously not completely drenched. And now the U-Touch actually does couple of things, or actually more than a couple of things. So it's one button that does 7 different functions, right? So it's got your basic navigation, which is your back and your home. So you can actually, from anywhere, you can get back to the home screen by pressing that button. You double press this, you get your app switcher or multitasking. You can swipe left and right. And actually, I don't know if you can, again, zoom in. This is really cool. Let me show this one. All right. I hope I've got something open. So normally what happens is you use about 1 or 2 apps at any time. So suppose I am on this and I want to go to the last app that I was seeing. So all I have to do is swipe across. So I don't really need to press something, again, kind of tap on an app and then open that. It's always there. And I can swipe from left to right or right to left to move between 2 apps. I think that's one of the really cool things. And these 7 different functions, apart from the basic navigation, which is back and home, which is basically what Android has, the other 5 can be completely programmed by a user. So a user can, for example, for long press, I always want the camera to kind of come up, right? Maybe I take a lot of videos. I can actually program it to do that. Or, for example, double press, the power situation is pretty bad. I want the flashlight. So you can actually program it to do all of that aspect. Between the quick switch panel and the U-Touch, you can pretty much customize the entire phone according to your usage, your liking, without really taking your thumb off that area. So you don't have to change your grip. Again, going back, the important part was one-handed usage, and we made a whole bunch of changes so that you can have a phone which is truly one-handed. So let me summarize this. With the Z2 Plus, what you get is one of the most powerful phones available today. It has a 5-inch full high-definition display. It's a 441 ppi, so it's super sharp. It'll come in 2 colors, black and white. It'll come in 2 variants, 332 for an average user, 464 for a power user. It comes with U-Health, or 24/7 health tracking. It has a pretty big 3500 mAh battery, which should easily last you through a day, even with that power usage. It has U-Touch controls built in, along with the quick switch panel, so you can use this with one hand. Finally, a phone that you can actually use with one hand. It's got a premium design and build. It's got a roll cage inside. It's got fiberglass on the outside. So overall, it really works well. A couple of other things. It supports VoLTE. It supports 4G Plus, or carrier aggregation. Now, not been launched in India yet, but we do know that some of the service providers are working on rolling out these functions. When that happens, the Z2 Plus is ready for that. And it is a dual SIM device. And at the bottom, it has a USB-C quick charge port. So that's the overall summary of this. Now for the part that I think we were all excited about is the availability, the price, and stuff like that. But before I get into that, Sudhin mentioned, right, so over the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've been meeting a lot of consumers. In fact, we've met close to about 400 people in groups, in one-on-ones, and taken a lot of feedback from them. So a big thank you to these guys. They've been there. They've given us a lot of inputs. They've given us a lot of feedback, not just for the Z2 Plus, but for the future products. And one of the feedback that they gave was, "Sir, flash sale mat karna." With that, what we are doing is we are going to have this on open sale starting 25th September, 11:59 p.m. It is an Amazon exclusive, and this is Sunday night. It goes live in the 4 variants, black, white, 332, and the 464. Along with the phone, we will also have certain accessories available. There's a pretty cool chrono case. I don't know if you can see that in the demo area. What you got is a flip cover. It provides complete protection for the phone, and you can change the watch faces or the chrono dials. We've also got the Skull Candy headphones, This we had launched earlier. These will also be available for sale because there are no headphones in the box. And the last one is the stealth case. This is just a back cover. Why the stealth case? Because it's extremely thin, extremely light. It is almost like a barely there case, so it doesn't add weight or bulk to your device when you're using that. So what we've got is we've got accessories, we've got this available on Amazon, and we've got this available in 2 variants. Now for the price. And for the price, again, the question came in terms of what if. And what if we could actually make it accessible to the masses? What if we could have more people use this, right? So we did not want to launch a flagship product which just stood there for the sake of it, but we actually want users to use it so that we get more inputs and we continue to improve going forward. Hence, the Z2 Plus will be available at a starting price of $19,999. Good? But there's a catch to this. Thank you. There's a catch to this. $19,999 is actually the price of the 4 GB model. The 3 plus 32 actually comes in at a more affordable $17,999. Right, so again, the whole idea was make a flagship, but make it accessible to people. We know what people like, what people would have loved, and hence the Z2 Plus. All right, Sudhin, if we can have you over for the photo op. This is the overall summary. On the back. The pictures are.
So for our media friends who want to take a picture,
Right. On camera. Let me just switch this on. You take this one. I'll take that. Let's switch. Closer.